Well, welcome everyone to the capstone scholar presentations for the class of 2022. Woohoo! This is very exciting. Are you guys excited? Yeah. Okay, there we go. This is our first night. This is our opening night. And we're so excited that you guys came out on a rainy night to join us and hear some of the accomplishments of these amazing seniors. So I would like us to start, as we do with all events at Bishop Kelly, with prayer. So let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God of all, we give you thanks for the occasion to gather this evening. We are grateful for the gifts that you have given us and for the opportunity to be part of the Bishop Kelly community. You have generously blessed these students, Bella, Genevieve, Kevin, and Josh. Touch their hearts so that they use their talents for the benefit of others and guide their path as they become the people that you call them to be. We offer this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Mary Queen of Peace, pray for us. St. John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever. So that's just the lightning, by the way, so that everybody knows. It'll probably happen again. So that's the sound that it makes. All right, well, welcome to the opening night of our capstone presentations for the class of 2022. Tonight begins one of my favorite roles as the director of the Brother Bernardine Scholars Program. In many ways, this is the culmination of a scholar's journey. The capstone project is one of the unique experiences which is afforded to very few students in the state of Oklahoma. It begins in their sophomore year, asking them to complete an 8 to 10 page research paper, which I'm sure seemed a very daunting task to all of you when you set out on this journey. Then the students spend their junior year developing how to put this research into action or carry this research one step further. The topics are ones about which these seniors are passionate. The projects this year include research papers, computer coding, 3D printing, documentaries, photographic essays, workshops for educators and young people, organizing fundraising events, and so much more. I'm so proud of each and every one of these seniors. They've faced unique challenges, to say the least, and are here to share their amazing experiences with you. Thank you so much to the parents, to the mentor teachers, and everyone in the Bishop Kelly community and the Tulsa community who has made this opportunity possible for all of these students. None of this would be possible without your prayers, support, and expertise. Enough from me. Let's hear from the students. So we're going to begin our presentations tonight with Mr. Kevin Wynn. Okay, if I don't knock everything off. So Kevin is the son of Kim and Yu Wynn. In addition to being a Brother Bernardine scholar, Kevin is a captain of the cross-country team, a programmer and driver for the Design Award and Regional Alliance winning robotics team, a 4-year member of the state champion Academic Bowl team. He's also a volunteer at the North Tulsa Learning Center, the scholar's latest service opportunity. He's an active member of SUCO and NHS. Kevin is a parishioner at St. Joseph Vietnamese Church, where he enjoys tutoring Sunday school and seeing all of the students' progress. In his free time, Kevin loves to play card games and solve puzzles blindfolded. That's a good story. Next year, Kevin hopes to attend Rice University and study computer science or aerospace engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Wynn.
Okay, so my presentation is sticking to the code. I'm gonna start off with a quote by Brother Bernardine. It is better to ask some of the questions than to know all the answers. I think this really relates to my Brother B project, as when I set off to this journey, I didn't exactly know how I was gonna get there. I just asked if it was possible to even do what I was setting out to do. So what I did for my project was I set out to code a game, and in that game it uses computer science. And computer science has been changing the world throughout, even in many different areas. One of the many areas is jobs. Many jobs today require you to learn a little bit of computer science. Like if you go into math or statistics, there are programming languages you can use, like R, which is used for statistics. And I also heard many engineering has also used different types of coding. Another way is artificial intelligence, where it uses machine learning and you can teach it different stuff and it can recognize whether what inputs you put it into, whether it's correct or false, and that leads into problem solving. AI can use to solve different problems. You'll see it in different ways, like Google searches that uses AI. Also, if you ever use Facebook or Instagram, their feeds is also powered by artificial intelligence. So what is my project and how does it relate to sticks? So this goes all the way back when I took Computer Science 1, and this was right before COVID hit. And I set out to build an app, and this all came from the class when we were wondering if it was possible to create an app with the knowledge that we have from Computer Science 1. And Alex Shea, who he graduated a couple years ago, he asked if it was possible to create sticks. And he asked it on a Friday, and the day after, I spent my entire day working on the game to see if it was possible. And I had many different ideas, but I'm actually going to just show you my first version. So just pull this up. So at first, this was my game. There were many different problems with the game. I'm going to run it right now. As you can see, there's no images. It just tells you how many sticks each hand has. And the game works by, you have to eliminate each hand by getting them to 0 or 5. And you can play by choosing one of your hands to add to their hand. And as you can see, it will update the game. And at first, I didn't really like it because it was very easy to cheat. There were many different ways to get around it. And my second version, as I'll show right here, I decided to actually make it so that we can actually see the hands using different symbols of letters. So I just do left to right. It might help to actually visualize what is actually happening. And then enter, we'll do the computer's turn. And that's how my Brother B came about. I didn't know I wanted to make it my Brother B presentation until my junior year when I couldn't come up with anything else. And I thought that maybe I could just branch off of it and make it into an actual game that people can play and enjoy on their free time. And so the first way I thought to use it was Swift UI. It's the user interface that Apple gives you in order to publish it in the App Store. But there were many problems with using Swift UI. The first thing I found out was if I publish it in the App Store, any person who doesn't have an Apple iPhone won't be able to play it. And that was one of the biggest concerns, because I wanted to reach out to everyone. Another problem with SwiftUI was the front-end development. The problem with front-end development is all the code used to create the layout and design of the game. I never actually done front-end development before, and it was a big learning curve. With SwiftUI, you also have to be 18 and above to publish a game, and right now I'm only 17. So being a minor, that was also a problem. So I actually used a website called code.org, and I'm going to show you one of the beta versions I made. At this point in time, I kind of just ditched SwiftUI and thought I had to restart in a way that I could actually do it. And code.org seemed to be the best option as it was very user friendly. So I can show you the game. You can select one of the hands, and you press it, it will actually add to the computer's hands. And then there's different settings that I have. And then the release version has just a little bit more, where I actually made a how to play section, and you will actually see that there are images that I made, if it wants to load. I might just have to go straight to the code and just skip this part. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go straight to the code, I guess. So for the code, I worked on it throughout many years, or not years, months, and it's basically break down to 3 different sections. The first part is variables. As you can see in the beginning, it has VAR, that just stands for variables, and that's where I create all my variables. The second, if you can see down here, are something called on events. You see like each line will start with an on event, and those represent all the buttons that you click. The third would be all the functions. So as you can see, the functions up here, they each have a different thing you can do. The function that is right there is update theme, and it basically changes the color of the background to your choice. And for the game, the one thing I was very scared about was copyright laws, and I wanted to use images instead of numbers to represent the game. That way it will help visualize what is going on. So I had to learn a little bit of graphic design, and I actually ended up spending many hours in learning the process of graphic design. And if I just go to this, you can actually see all the possibilities of the hands and the way they're laid out. Okay. So during the beta version, I released it to many of my friends to see some of the responses I would get before releasing it to everyone else. There were a couple things I've got. Many people asked if it was possible to get a back button. I decided not to choose a back button because I already had a normal difficulty and an expert difficulty, and I was afraid that using a back button would mess all that up. So I decided not to use a back button. Another thing people asked was, is it possible to make it online or pass and play? The thing with online is it's a completely different way to do it. And with pass and play, I mean, if you're right next to each other, can you just play on using your hands? And that was one of the things I got. And after that, I released it to all the group chats I had, and I have a QR code if you ever want to play the game. Is there any questions? Gigi? It was nothing related. But you really want to know? It's how quantum physics affects the world. Bella? It's over 1,800 lines of code. And I can't begin to tell you how long it took me because I probably spent 10 hours play testing it alone. So, do you have a question? Any others? Yeah, feel free to scan and play the game. So. I'm wondering if it's possible to continue it and make it more into, so that way like, I can actually publish it and possibly even make money out of it. That's possibly in the next goal. I do have a lot of people who ask if I do want to sell it. I probably don't want to sell it, but maybe I can get ads on there and possibly make money through it that way. Okay, I think that concludes it.
Right now, everybody's going to be playing that game, and we're ready to move on to the next presentation. I and I would also like to say, yeah, do you, because you put in your credits, so I'm going to let you say that.
I forgot about the credits. I actually put that in my game, so. Oh, actually loaded. Yeah, there's sound. So I would like to give a special thanks to the Brother Bernardine teachers, everyone who play tested the game, and Mr. Rose, who was my mentor, and he said he would be watching the live stream, so hey, Mr. Rose.
Thank you. Yes, definitely, Mr. Rose, if you're there, we're wishing you all the best at Harvard and hope you're having a great semester. Okay, let me escape out of that. Closing all these. There we go. Okay, our next presenter is Josh Walter, and he has props. It's a big prop. So, Josh's parents are Diana and Joseph Walter. At Bishop Kelly, Josh is also a four-year member of the academic bowl team and also a member of the robotics team. He is a bass drummer in BK's Drumline. Josh is a National Merit semifinalist and a First Robotics Dean's List semifinalist. He was also named AP Statistics Outstanding Student of the Year, a class which is almost exclusively taken by seniors, mind you, and he was named it as a junior. Josh is also a tutor at the North Tulsa Learning Center, where he enjoys playing games with the kids and helping them with their homework. He's a member of St. Benedict's Parish in Broken Arrow. Josh has applied to TU Missouri S&T and Colorado School of the Mines. Right now, he plans to attend Colorado School of the Mines in the fall and study mechanical engineering. Josh Walter.
Okay, so my presentation is The Wind of Change is Coming. It's upside down. Okay. Okay, my quote from Brother Bernardine is, "Today is the tomorrow we worried about yesterday." So my thesis, humanity's reliance on fossil fuels is causing global climate change, which will lead to catastrophic events. I hope to help change that by highlighting one of the primary replacements for fossil fuels. Okay, so first, some background on climate change. So since the late 1800s, we've known that carbon dioxide that we release from burning fossil fuels causes global temperatures to rise. And although we knew it would happen, we couldn't actually measure it until the 1930s. And since then, instead of decreasing our carbon emissions to prevent more warming, we've instead multiplied it by 10 times. So reliance on fossil fuels leads to increased carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere and climate change. So it leads to more extreme weather events like extreme flooding and more wildfires. And the oceans are becoming more acidic and warmer, causing fish to die out. So renewable energy provides energy without producing many greenhouse gases and only produces them when they're being built. So we need a shift to renewable energy to prevent climate change. So all forms of renewable energy have positives and negatives, and a mix of them will be needed to replace fossil fuels. The most practical renewable energy sources are wind, which is what I built, solar, geothermal, and hydro. So the benefits and drawbacks of wind energy are that it produces the least amount of greenhouse gases and can be used to produce energy at any time of day. And wind is also an unlimited resource. Some drawbacks of it are that it can be unpredictable and you can't control it. And it doesn't produce more electricity when you need it. So each of the main sources of renewable energy also have their own drawbacks. So solar power can only be produced during the day and when there's no cloud cover. And geothermal can only be produced in specific areas. And hydropower can create large amounts of electricity, but it's extremely expensive and can cause large amounts of environmental damage. So how a wind turbine works is wind hits the turbine blades, which then cause a shaft to rotate, which goes into the gearbox, which speeds up the rotation. And then that goes into a generator, which creates direct current, which then has to go into a transformer to transform into an alternating current, which is what everything we use is powered by. So now, some maps. So this is the formula for power output. So it goes pi over 2 times the radius of the wind turbine, times the wind speed cubed, times the air density, and then times the efficiency of the wind turbine. So this means when the radius of the wind turbine is doubled, electricity production is quadrupled, and when wind speed doubles, electricity generation is multiplied by 8. So height has a lot of impact on wind speed. So for example, a 15 mile an hour wind at ground level is 75 miles an hour at 250 feet, which is where most wind turbines are. So I designed my wind turbine using the NACA airfoil 4421, which is okay. I use the NACA airfoil, which is this up here, and then I used chord slope to make it shorter as you go up the wind turbine, and then twist angle to rotate the airfoils as you go up and down the wind turbine blade. So it's 2 feet long by 4 inches wide, and so wind turbines work by generating lift. And at the end of each wind turbine blade, I made a circular part that fits into these holes in the blade hub. And I rounded the blade hub to make it more aerodynamic and to use less printed plastic, so it would be cheaper. So now my sprockets. So I have 3 sprockets. This top one is 99 teats, and it connects into the blade hub, which is what spins. And then that is connected to a smaller sprocket with 29 teats on the other side of this. And that multiplies the speed by 3.4 times. And then these sprockets multiplied by another 3.4 times. And then the last sprocket connects to the generator, which multiplies it by 9 times. So this means in total it multiplies the speed by 104 times. So I made my sprockets work with the number 25 chain, and I gave them rounded sprocket teats so the chain could go on and off easily. So now, how the electricity is generated. So I used a permanent magnet motor, which is wires that spin around magnets. And so my generator works best at 1,500 revolutions per minute, which means that the wind turbine has to spin at 15 revolutions per minute. Okay, so this is my electrical circuit. So this here is the generator. Then this is a voltmeter, which allows me to measure how much power is being produced. Then this is the shunt, which is needed for it. And then the fuse to prevent the output from blowing out. And then this is the DC output. So now I'm going to demonstrate. So if I spin this, then it lights up these LED lights as it produces electricity. So right now, it is producing 0.9 watts of electricity. So, I so bigger wind turbines, the radius is squared in the equation. So most wind turbines are about 80 meters, and mine is less than a meter. So it's multiplied by thousands of times. Okay, so my testing. So I waited for a windy day to test it, and it was around 12 miles an hour. And so here's a video of it spinning. So I had to disconnect the generator in order for it to spin because the wind didn't go fast enough. So I had 4 options that I could do to try to make it produce electricity. So I could either make the turbine blades longer, but that would be pretty expensive. Or I could raise it to a higher elevation, but that would be difficult. Or I could shrink the sprockets to make it multiply less. Or I could increase the wind speed. So I did the last 2. So I decreased the sprocket multiplication by using these smaller sprockets. And I added a fan to the wind to try to get it to spin. So when I retested it, it again didn't work because the fan didn't spin it fast enough. So during my project, this is it spinning with the larger sprockets that I have on it right now. So throughout this project, I had many redesigns. So at first I made this 1-foot long blade, but I decided it wouldn't produce enough electricity, so I swapped to these 2 feet long blades. And the sprockets, initially I had sharp points on them, but that got caught in the chain, so I had to smooth them out. And then the electrical circuit, I had to change out several times, because at first it didn't show how many watts was being produced. So during this project, I learned many skills. So I developed my computer-aided design skills while I was designing all the parts. And I learned how to woodwork when I built the support structure. And I learned about electrical circuitry when I built the electrical circuit. So this project has heightened my interest in renewable energy and mechanical engineering, which is what I'm going to do in college. So thank you to Ms. Bendel and Ms. Tyler for running the Brother B program, Ms. Otson for being my mentor and letting me borrow her 3D printer, and my family for letting me take over the garage and helping me build some. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Caleb? Yeah, it could if the wind was fast enough. Any other? I think like 30 or 40 miles an hour. Okay.
Have you tested it? Like one of those days when we've had 30 or 40 mile an hour winds, have you rolled it down in the garage to see what happens?
Well, no, because normally it's raining on those days. And so,
True.
yeah.
But it's coming though. It's the winter wind, right? So
Yeah.
one where it doesn't snow, are you gonna roll it out, see what happens?
Yeah, if it's windy enough. Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge you had during the course of your?
It was probably when I was designing each of the parts, because I kept having to redesign all of them, and I spent a bunch of hours just changing them to work. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I did enjoy it. Yeah.
So one time when my husband and I were driving to see my family in Nebraska, I love roller coasters, and I made a comment like, wouldn't it be fun sometime to like strap yourself to one of those blades and like ride around it? So then we in the car did our little mental math calculations of how fast it's actually traveling at the tip. So we looked up, the radius, and then we calculated the circumference, and then we did the speed, and then we did all this. And it turns out that at the tip, on an average, one of the turbines, they're traveling at about 120 miles an hour. So I decided that might be a little fast for a roller coaster ride. I might regret my decision. Okay. All right. Our next presenter is Bella Thompson. Bella is the daughter of Holly and Jacob Thompson. She's a member of the cross-country team, a Link Crew leader, a Comet ambassador, and committee chair of the Spirit Committee for SUCO. Bella is on the yearbook staff and is participating for the first time this year in the musical Shrek, which debuts next Wednesday. She's a member of NHS, and she's also a peer mentor in the Rother program. Bella was awarded Outstanding English Student and is a 2-time varsity letterman of the cross-country team. In her free time, she enjoys reading and baking. She likes to volunteer with the National Charity League with her mother and is a frequent tutor at the North Tulsa Learning Center. Her favorite place to volunteer is the Little Lighthouse, babysitting children with special needs while their parents have a night out. Bella is a member of First Presbyterian Church downtown. She has applied to Georgetown, OU, and the U of A, and plans to study political science in the fall. Bella Thompson.
Hey guys. Okay. So all these STEM people are kind of freaking me out. I'm more of an English and social studies person myself, so my project has nothing to do with codes or engineering, but So I did a documentary about different religions and what each religion believes. And so I think a quote to perfectly encompass my project in one is this quote by Neil Carter. He said, "It has been said that the true subject of theology is humanity. The gods we follow can tell us an awful lot about ourselves." And so that's basically like the goal of my project, was kind of to just discover more about different kinds of people by discovering what they believe in. My thesis statement is basically that. Learning about the Supreme Being is the first step in learning about the religion and its followers. So here's some global statistics for you. 96.4% of the world's population actually believes in some sort of supreme being. Only 450 to 500 million people around the world are atheist or agnostic, which compared to 7.8 billion, that's not that much. 70% of the United States population believes in a supreme being. So more about my thesis that I discovered when I did my research paper. So I did my research paper over just generally researching the supreme beings of several religions. Those are just more statistics. There are around 170 estimated churches in Tulsa, Oklahoma alone. And so I really got to explore those as I did my project and as I interviewed people and discovered what they believe. This is important to society because awareness and knowledge creates compassion and encourages diversity. Everyone believes in something. Like, we all have different beliefs and different things that make us who we are. And so by learning more about other people and what they believe in, we can kind of foster this compassion and empathy for other people and get to know where they come from so that we can better create a community. It's important to me because my faith has always been an important part of my life. Like you said, I go to First Presbyterian. I'm actually a camp counselor at a Christian camp. And I love learning about the aspects and history of other religions. Coming to Catholic school, I was a little nervous because I'm not Catholic, but I loved going to theology classes because it gave me an insight into what other people believe, because I had never heard some of this stuff before. And I kind of wanted to explore more and see if that was also true for other religions. And so that was why I did it. in my research paper here, the religions I interviewed, or not interviewed, just researched online. And it was pretty interesting because most of them don't actually have that different of beliefs. Like, the more I dug deep into the finer details, like, everyone kind of has just a twisted version of the other one. And so they were a lot more similar than I expected they would be. So my project basically had 4 stages. One was to kind of send out the word that I was looking for people to interview. So I basically just looked up different churches in Tulsa, or I would go down the list of my research paper religions and see if there was a local temple, local church, or anything, and email those people. 2, when they actually responded, I would set up an interview. 3, I would edit and put it together. And then 4, present to you guys. And so for number 1, there were some struggles with emailing. I sent out 26 emails to 26 different churches and people. Only 11 people responded. 1 person responded. I emailed them back to set up a date. Never responded to the second email. So, but that was difficult. Also, with COVID, I started this project in January of 2021, and a lot of people were still pretty strict about COVID, and so that kind of leads me to the next part. For some people, they didn't want to do an in-person interview because of COVID safety. So I would set up a Zoom interview. Only problem is you have to pay to record Zoom meetings. I didn't know that. So I used voice memos on my phone, which does not provide the clearest audio. Oh, did it go off again? Okay. Keep talking. Okay. So basically, COVID difficulties provided some issues. I also got a new camera for Christmas that year, and so I used it to film, and I had to figure out the ropes of that. There were a couple interviews that I did have to scrap because they were not good. I'm not a very good videographer. Another thing was finding a quiet meeting place. A couple of my interviews, I had to cut out big chunks of footage because during the interview, someone in the background would start talking. Like, I was videoing my own pastor at my own church, and the youth minister came up and just started talking to us. And I was like, bro, like, I'm filming something. I was like, but it's okay. I cut that part out. We're good. So some of the clips aren't as smooth as I'd like them to be. Then editing. Finding an editing program was very difficult. A lot of them are kind of expensive to edit, but finally through Mr. Hembry, I found a free editing program. It was very time consuming because, you know, you have to like thumb through every single clip and find the mistakes. Speaking of, people make mistakes. Like my best friend Addie, she, I interviewed her because she's Catholic, and this is one of my favorite interviews I did. This took a lot of editing.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
You got
Can I
this.
talk slower?
It doesn't matter. I have tons of people to interview, so I can always fill in the space.
You might need to do that.
Okay. I'm filling whenever you're ready.
Okay. I have to burp.
That's fine.
Okay.
She had to burp.
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Wait, no. Okay. So I'm Catholic,
From
and as a
video
Catholic,
that
we
is
believe
over
that
3
God's
minutes
like a
long,
big
I got
father.
45 seconds of footage, so thank you, Addie. Oh, it's starting again. There we go. Then, 3 weeks ago, disaster struck. But according to Brother Bernardine, there is no success without hardship, and out of every disaster, a little progress is made. So, these are my lovely emails to Mr. Zev from WeVideo, because my whole project got, or not my project, but my account on WeVideo got deleted 3 weeks before my project was due to be 3 weeks ago today. And so my account got deleted. I couldn't find it. So I emailed them and I was like, hey, what's up? Like, where's my account? And they're like, we don't have an account for your name. So my whole project kind of got gone. Couldn't find it. And so I restarted my entire project 3 weeks ago. And I finished it. So, haha. Anyways, Zev was not helpful. He was very passive. But, you know, it's okay. I cried a lot. Kevin made a joke and made me cry. But it's fine. We're over it now. But yeah. Anyways. I was like hysterically crying that day. It's fine. What I learned, patience. This project took a lot of time, and sometimes you need to accept that it's gonna be a time commitment. You just have to like push through it, even if you don't want to, because I was having trouble finding motivation. Tenacity. It would have been so easy just to quit and not redo my project. But I did. I did redo it, so it was good. I made connections. Most religions have very similar beliefs that relate to other religions, so I made connections with people that I didn't even know before. Like, these people that I reached out to interview, like, I'd never met them before, and I got to meet some amazing people through it. People skills, again, kind of relating to the last one. I learned how to interact with people and, like, set up meetings, which was scary at first, but it's fine. And then, always save a hard copy of your project. Learn that one the really hard way. I saved 5 copies of my project the other day, so we got it. We learned that lesson well. So here's the trailer I just made like a short little trailer for my project. I'm not going to make you watch the whole 30-minute documentary, but I will post it on YouTube soon. If you do want the link, I'll send it to you. Anyways, okay, here we go.
All right, my name is Father Carl Iberg. I am an archdeacon in the Diocese of the Living Word Anglican Church of North America.
I'm Darren Spoo, DERONSBOO, and I'm pastor of First Baptist in Tulsa.
So I'm Dan. I'm one of the pastors here at First Presbyterian Church of Tulsa.
My name is Aaliyah Shimmy. I am the Executive Director of Tulsa Metropolitan Ministry.
Hello, my name is Father Zui Nguyen. I am the chaplain here at Bishop Kelly High School.
Every person in this world believes in something. Some people put their faith in hard work, money, or other people. However, the one concept that 97.6% of the world can agree upon is the presence of the Supreme Being. There are roughly 4,300 known religions and denominations according to the World Population Review, and each one has a unique view on who the true Supreme Being is. Some people believe that God is a creator. Others believe that he serves as some sort of father figure. Some people believe that their God serves as a judge of humanity. No matter what role a Supreme Being plays in people's lives, in order to better understand humanity as a whole, it is necessary to first evaluate who people are putting their faith in.
So that's just a little sneak peek. Thank you to Mr. Simons and Mr. Hembry, my mentors. Yeah, we gotta include Zeb. My interviewees, Father Kyle Iberg, Father Zui, Sonda Reddy, Jeremy Folda, Emily Lapidus, Alia Shimmy, Addison Gehring, Claire Guthrie, Darren Spoo, Dan Hutchinson, Juliet Cannon, Zach Grimes, and Reverend Wambugu. Yeah, I can't pronounce that, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mrs. Tyler, head of the Brother Bernardine program, and Zev at WeVideo, even though he didn't help me at all, but you gotta include him. And Coach Alonzo, who promised to be my lawyer in my lawsuit against WeVideo for losing my account. Amen. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Yes. For interviewing, I interviewed around 12 people, so from different denominations. I have 2 Catholics. It's hard in Tulsa, since we live in the Bible Belt, to find a strong diversity. But I was able to interview a lot of different denominations of Christianity, and then someone from a Jew, Muslim, Hinduism, and I interviewed someone who's agnostic too, to get a kind of not baseline, but like a differing perspective. Yes. I thought that could kind of best capture like humanity, like getting a video of someone saying their perspective, so I could best like see the reactions and kind of compile it all together to get a better like view. Yeah? Yes. There's a great video of Addie talking about her belief. It's actually really good response. Thank you. Yes. Well, with the emotional trauma, a lot. It's worth a lot. But yeah. Any more questions? Whenever I get around to it. Soon, very soon. So actually, the interview of the Hindu, Sanda Reddy, she was a virtual interview because of COVID and stuff. And so she actually gave me like 19 minutes of like talking, and like I had to cut that down definitely. But what she said at the end, she kind of incorporated my entire project into like a couple of sentences. Like she basically described what I was trying to capture with my project. Like it's so important that you're doing this because like learning about different people's religions helps you to like learn more about them and like connect us all as a community and like help us to increase diversity. And so it was kind of really cool what she said because like she just basically summed up my entire project. So it was really nice. Okay, thank you.
So I'm sure we're all watching the weather app, but I am watching the weather app, and it looks like it's just wind and rain and some lightning. But I just do what? There we go. Yes? Yeah? Let's give it a whirl. Right? Did you like? I don't even know that I meant to make that a pun, but that happened. All right. So our last presentation of tonight, it's not our last round of presentations, but the last presentation for tonight is Miss Genevieve Frenier. Genevieve's parents are Renee and Andrew Frenier. At Bishop Kelly, Genevieve is an active member of Latin Club, NHS, the Prism Club, and a longtime member of the theater department, and also will be in Shrek starting on Wednesday, opening night. She's also a tutor at the NTLC. In her free time, Genevieve enjoys dance class where she studies hip-hop and jazz. She also enjoys singing. She's a parishioner at St. Bernard's and a member of Quest Youth Group. She enjoys volunteering at the Tulsa Food Bank where she knows she is a part of the solution to help feed the hungry. In the fall, she plans to attend OSU and study mathematics. Ladies and gentlemen, Genevieve.
Hey guys, we're gonna hope that I can be loud enough so you can hear me over the rain. So my project is called The Science Behind Illusions. When I was figuring out in sophomore year what I wanted to do for my research paper, I stumbled across this show, well then, called Brain Games. Do we have to go somewhere? Are we good? Mr. Franz, what's the plan? In we go. Okay. It's a tornado warning. Do I turn this? Just go into the hell. Should I turn this off? Sorry, Gigi. Y'all, I knew. Okay.
All right, I don't think we have the live stream anymore, though.
Oh, no.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
Awesome.
Rock and roll.
Okay. We're back.
For the moment, we're here.
For the moment. So I'm going to try to get this done so that we can, so that we can go home. Okay. Where was I? Brain games. So I chose to do a paper about illusions, insight, and everything because of brain games. If you don't know, this is a show mostly based on illusions, tricks of the mind, and a few parts of psychology and sociology within it. If you haven't watched it, I greatly recommend it. It's a great show. If you are mad about getting your brain tricked, don't watch it, because that'll make you mad. I knew already doing my research paper that it was going to be something about the eyes or the brain, because that was something I was really interested in. Before mathematics, I thought of optometry, so on. Okay. When I was going into this project, I decided to stem off of my research paper. So my project is also about illusions. What I decided to do was to send out a survey to the people of Bishop Kelly and compare it to what I found in my research paper and either confirm or deny what I previously found. My main hypothesis before doing the project was that people who are older should be tricked more by illusions because they've experienced it more, seen more illusions by just going through their everyday lives, not recognizing them, so it'd be easier to be tricked. Yes. My other goal of this project was to learn about illusions in general. All right, things that held me back. You probably guessed this one, but COVID was one of them. Because of COVID, I was not able to reach out to many other schools, go there in person. I tried to email some of them, got no responses back. Bella had the same type of problem. And then another problem I had was bias. Because it's a survey and it's sent out to everyone, there's a thing called response bias. There's only a few people that are going to respond to the survey. Another thing about doing illusions is that a lot of people have seen the illusions that I did. So there's going to be varying results based on that. All right, successes. So my main successes were finding the information about the illusions and comparing it to my previous research. There were so many things that I couldn't even imagine were going to happen. So let's go to these first illusions. I don't know if you've seen these like in your middle school or on social media, but I feel like they're fairly well known. This is the white and gold, blue and black dress. You could see either one, maybe you could see both. And I thought, based on my research, that it was going to be based on the type of light you're used to. So if you are used to natural light, you're supposed to see white and gold. If you are used to artificial light, you're supposed to see black and blue. What was really interesting to me was based on my results, there was no correlation between the two. When I did my survey and got the percentages, it was basically 50-50. There was no correlation in age, gender, nothing. It was 50-50 basically everywhere. So there was like 50% of white and gold in the natural light, and the other 50% was in the artificial light. So they were in no way related. And then the shoe is fairly similar, but I'm not going to go into that one. The next type of illusions we have here are based on perspective. This first one is called Ponzo's illusion. The correct answer is that both of the lines are the same size. But because we have this perspective of the train track going across, the higher one is supposed to look bigger. Because if in real life you had this train track and you had these lines physically on the track, the upper line would be bigger because it would be farther away. We see this illusion because of survival. If there is a train coming near you, you're going to want to know how big and fast it is going if it is coming towards you. On these types of illusions, since they go fairly similar to shape, my main hypothesis was that men would not be tricked as easily, which turns out with my data was fairly true. Let me see if I can get some exact data. 69% of men were not tricked, got the exact answer, and 57% of women were not tricked. So it's fairly close, but there's that little increase. On the circle illusion, same type of thing. Since these bigger circles around this smaller one are farther apart from the circle, it makes this middle one look smaller, if the illusion works for you. But let me switch over my flashcards. 60.2% of people got the correct answer of these circles being the exact same size. This is based on context of why this is an illusion. Just like the previous illusion, there wasn't really correlations between age. There wasn't an exact pattern, sadly disproving my hypothesis in the beginning, but it is okay to be wrong. But it was once again fairly correlated with gender. 74.1% of men said that the circles were the same size, while 57.4% of women said that it was the same size. Okay. Help for the future. If anyone was to recreate this, or I did this again, it's really good to focus on bias in your questions. Because if you word it a certain way, more people would answer what you want, but you don't want that. You want there to be no bias in any of these questions. Another thing that I would do if I did this again, or if you did it, would do many, many, many trials and practices to make sure it works out the way you want, and to make sure that there's no differences or weird variables in the way. Something very important in any of these Brother B presentations and capstone projects is use your resources. Because if you're doing this on your own, it could be extremely difficult. But I got help from my parents, my friends, Miss Tyler especially with the data on figuring out how to sort it and everything. It's just really useful because you'll be really stressed out otherwise. Some more questions and activities. If I were to continue with this, which I'm hoping to plan to, I would also dive into what illusions trick the most people, like if it's visual, taste, touch, any of those 5 senses. And then maybe even create my own illusion and put that out there as well. The main thing I learned was this better understanding of illusions and how they're in our everyday lives and that I can be wrong and that many, many trials are needed. I'm going to end off with the Brother B quote. A person should never be ashamed to say he has been wrong, which is but saying in other words that he is wiser today than he was yesterday. And then I'm going to quickly thank my parents, Miss Tyler, my friends, and then my mentor, Miss Alexander, the psychology teacher. All right, questions? Then we got another illusion here. For the dress, I see white and gold. For the shoe, I can actually see it both ways, the pink and white and the gray and mint. I think it was another thing that I saw in Brain Games and a few other places, that men's brains just genetically are more wired for shape type things. It's why more men are better at like packing things in a car, because you're able to see that like spatial like awareness thing. So yeah, that's why I applied it to my illusions. Okay. Yeah, I have that on data paper. Let me see if I have overall here. I had it. I got around 191 responses from Bishop Kelly. That was about it. I tried to, but because of COVID and not being able to go there in person, and just there was not a response from any of the schools I emailed or anything. Well, since it's Bishop Kelly, it was mostly 13 through 18-year-olds. There were 3 age groups that I did. It was 13 through 18-year-olds, or 13 through 17-year-olds, 18 through 21-year-olds, and then 22 plus. Another big contributor was 22 plus, because I did also get data from my summer camp. Here's what was actually really interesting. In the survey, let me see if I can find the exact numbers. But in the 13 through 17-year-olds, 49.2% of people responded seeing electronic light. And then in the 18 through 21-year-olds, 42.9% said electronic light. And in the 22 plus, with the highest percentage out of the 3 groups was 60.98% of electronic light, which was completely unexpected. So I don't know if there'd be much of a difference, but that was something that I found really surprising. Okay, thank you.
All right. So we're all safe. The tornado went, if there was one on the ground, it was actually kind of north and east of where we are. So we're good. So my question, which way is she spinning? This caused a conversation with us earlier today. Clockwise? How many people say clockwise? How many people say counterclockwise? That's me. But I can see both. If I look away for a little bit and then come back, she spins. She changes directions. Yeah. That's why you have to, if you just look at it's very interesting. Kevin said she's just bouncing up and down. That was Kevin's response. She's not spinning, she's just bouncing. Well, let's give one more hand to our 4 presenters for this evening. So I just want to say thank you again so much to everybody for coming, and this is definitely, the most interesting presentation night. I was not expecting a tornado warning in the middle of it. So thank you all for taking shelter and all those other things. Our next presenters will be presenting next Wednesday. Unfortunately, also the opening night of the musical, but there are more shows of the musical than just on Wednesday. So, and we will be live streaming again. So thank you to Mr. Russ Hembry, the man behind the camera, who is doing our live streaming for us. And for everyone who tuned in, and hopefully you stuck with us through our tornado sheltering and came back and watched another great presentation. So next Wednesday, same time, same place, 6:30 p.m. here. And if you are a Bishop Kelly student, you get to help me put this room back together before we go home. Yay! All right. Thank you guys. Live Jesus in our hearts forever.